You're back. Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality? These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. A thousandth of a second too late. For the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
She likes the totality of it.
Indeed. They piled them in mass graves in Ozon. And, well, that's the last anyone did they ever. Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
This does not represent the official RCM opinion.
Don't worry. Klaus Mazov shot 15 million people in the head. But that was all the way over in Grad. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the Ultras, or Ultra-Liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The Coalition. Those people really took the mineral right. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The Coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Indeed, Zerat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did.
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-estellary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
"51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. Ten of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. Good question. What would you have done differently? And I asked you. Past, I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost. Past? That's what de Briever, the leader of the communards, said, before she got a bullet in her head. Don't get me wrong, capital is finished. But understand this. Its end won't free anyone. It will only lead to more suffering.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sent.
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra. Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a man of the left, no? Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
That's a pity. I hope we can remain collegial, despite the fact that I'm a high priestess of the capital. Don't take it personally. It was only business, as they say. Honestly. I may have even preferred it, had the communards won. Who knows? They might really have built something better. But they didn't. Because they lost. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinaise a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinaise, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake, then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
Yes, I suppose I...
Seditious talk.
Yes. Whatever else I am. I'm also a... It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective. In case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio.
It's not just me, Detective. All of Martinaise has placed its chips on your success. I pray we've all bet wisely. Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
She nods slowly.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie, out in the open somewhere.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close.
A bird? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing. Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once splat, splat. Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be?
She lets out an unrestrained laugh, the crow's feet stretching onto her cheeks.
My reality-impaired colleague is not so far off. Many of the RCM's fashions, even weapon preferences, borrow heavily from classic Vespertine cop shows. My precinct alone has 3 officers who go by the name Ace. But please, do continue this reality exploration. I was just remarking.
Yes, let's.
Six kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You're an officer of the RCM. It stands for Revachol Citizens Militia. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
He's being sarcastic.
We are.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the Coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Ravacholians get to keep the peace in Ravachol, and the Coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop.
Glad to have been of assistance.
Hobocop. Technically, you wouldn't be a cop anymore, but a hobo. That would mean game over for the cop chapter of your adventures. But who knows where the hobo part takes you? To the bar? The old L'Assommoir? To the pier or the sewers? To Le Royaume, where for 300 years they interred the dead. You could plunder royalist crypts for long-forgotten triple malt bourbon, then fight the Aramakan beast that lurks the bottommost sepulchres. The secrets of the city are all yours at last. A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance. The door rattles against your... The door rattles again.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not living anymore. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door? There must be another entrance to the east.
Madame, I assure...
There is no reply. You see a young man on a balcony nursing a cigarette. His eyes have been following you for a while.
Not looking for any trouble, officer.
It's the voice of someone who has something to hide, my liege.
Sorry, I don't have time for this. I just want to finish my cigarette and be gone.
Don't let him go.
Is it really that important? All right, but make it quick. Once I finish this cigarette, I have to run. My name? My name is Martin Martinez.
That's definitely not his real name.
No, of course not. Could you please lower your voice?
Ask him again.
And I really need to finish this cigarette.
But he hasn't left yet.
I'd even go so far as to say that the view is a little too good, my dear gendarme. Do you have an estimate of when the body will be taken away?
We will remove the body as soon as possible. Now tell us.
Oh. You already asked me that, didn't you?
Wait, is someone else investigating the lynching?
No, not you. Some more muscular type.
And when did you speak to this more muscular gentleman?
Last week? I don't know. Look,
It'll take more than rain to bring this place back to life.
You didn't answer the question. What were you doing last Sunday?
I had a friend over. It was my Sunday friend.
Makes sense. Friends are nice on Sunday. You don't have to work. You can just spend time with pals, watching rugby and drinking beer. He doesn't reply, gesturing no with his cigarette. Under the grey sky, the neighboring windows are streaked with rain.
No. We won't. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really need to get going.
This isn't the place or time for questions. Who knows who might be watching from the distance, hidden behind the curtains? For a moment, the man on the balcony seems almost vulnerable. Something moves in the depths of his feline eyes, compassion and a hint of understanding.
I am sorry, but I really don't have the information you're looking for.
But, hold on, what's that? For a split second, his hand lingers, as though gesturing towards a stone placed right next to the front door. It's a sign.
Good luck with the investigation.
He's gone. No point in running. Tenements like he could be a witness. Him or his Sunday friend. Either way, we need to look into that muscular type who's asking about our case. He did leave us a sign. Did you see that? If we find a way inside the building, we can ask around for his apartment.
A stone, like any other, lying in a whirl of sleet and mud. Maybe there's something under it. There's a key beneath it, rusty from the dirt.
This must be for the front door. Pity doesn't have the apartment number on it. This building has many apartments and the man can be in any of them. We'll just have to go in and see.
This door has been closed with a padlock, but no reply. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. Better whip out those cutters. This door has been closed with a padlock. The shackle snaps like a twig, and the lock falls to the floor with a little thud. It should be possible to enter now.
After you, detective.
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Mazov. Kraz Mazov, nom de guerre, was an economist and a theoretical historian. He was a leading figure in the Grad side of the turn-of-the-century revolution, where he headed the 9-day government. Mazov is considered the father of scientific communism, Mazovian thought, or Mazovianism.
The White Star, The photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting. Whoever lives here definitely shares your enthusiasm. There aren't many communists around, not after the revolution. Some youth still keep the ideology going, it seems.
You hear someone. The walking stops. You can feel tension on the other side. A poor communard, from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason.
Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis. I'm fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me.
You're still worried. It's very worrying.
Now, what do you want from me, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
I'm no one. Just an old woman who cleans these hallways. If you can call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room. It's barely bigger than a closet. But I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company. And that's all I need from this world.
She hasn't spoken to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Yes, yes, I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like the devil, right? What's he in trouble for? Talk?
What was so funny about that?
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
Ask away, policeman. People come and go. I don't keep an eye on everyone.
They probably just moved or died. Hopefully somewhere else.
No one lives there. It's been empty for months. Impossible. I would know if someone had moved in there. Maybe it's those countercultural people again. Breaking into a house like it's a public space. You're a policeman. Be good and take a look, will you? Great. Young people. They're worse than rats. You know. Oh, that one is a scientist. A future scholar. I think he studies astrology at the community college. Education's good. I always tell them to study. Something to do with all those stars around his door. He asked me to leave his drawings up on the symbol of what now? I thought Revachol was the capital. The artiste? Nothing I can do about her, I'm afraid. She ruins the walls faster than I can clean them. Still, she leaves an old lady to her business. More than I can say for others.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief. What happened here? Put your emotions aside. Try to focus on abstract, impersonal things. But this reeks of sadness. It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed. You hear someone walking around.
Excuse me? Of course not.
You have plenty of reason to enter.
Oh, come on.
Well, that was easy.
That was smart.
Satisfied? My name is Marielle Charpentier, and I'm an agent with Martinez Realty Associates. I am not breaking in, as I have every right to be here. The keys, see?
Her voice is really cheerful, despite her obviously hating you.
Do you want to see my ID as well? You can't legally ask for it, but why not? Want to see my residence permit too?
It feels flimsy in hand, with the words Revachol Zone of Control written under a nondescript municipal logo. There's a picture of her with shorter hair inside, along with all her personal details.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I need to be back in Midtown in an hour. I need to get it ready for the next lease, but as you can see, the previous tenant completely trashed the place. It was some kind of a moribund old man who used to be a business owner. You'd think they'd make rent. But that was months ago. Anyway, was there anything you wanted, or is that it? I'm in a... Oh, that's another huge mess. The former tenant owes us 3 months of rent. 3. We closed the apartment and planned on auctioning off the valuables, but... And again, I have no idea how stupid mistakes like this can even happen. But Ron, when he came to close the door, didn't close the neighboring door. And there's a hole in the wall. A hole in the wall. Can you believe it? And then the tenant ran off with his stuff. He's gone. The money's gone. Just like that.
The sum must have been puny.
These apartments are perfectly fine. They have gorgeous architecture, a million-real view of the bay, good ventilation, neighbors, life, spark, and they are affordable. I'll tell you, Martinez has a future. In a few years, it's going to blossom with artists and creatives and those radio computer wizards. Don't ask me what happened with the wall. I have no idea how we're going to find the time or resources to fix it. Both apartments are now unrentable. Both. Of course.
Give me a moment. I see. I hope some good people are finally going to move in. This place needs them. We won't be killing anyone. And you shouldn't say things like that. You're a police officer. There's been enough killing. I've seen it.
She's seen it and known those who have been killed. Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened. A great force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline. Fired from the water, a straight shot into Revachol. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed, and they had a direct firing line. The waves of the Martinez Inlet rolled over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscured the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt. A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army, hundreds of vessels. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water, far in the northeast. Cannons still ready to placate Revachol. Coalition warship Archer can shoot 50 shells a minute on 20 co-aligned archers. They will reach the city in 58 seconds.
The coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on. It's chilly up here.
He does not like talking politics of this kind.
Ooh, the piggies have learned how to saunter up staircases. I didn't think you could do that with hooves. Yeah, I can see that.
The luxury of fine things. Just look at those black monk straps. Beautiful things give you a remember. When they come to take it away, they're either a
Hello again, officer. Ooh, not only have you found my address, it doesn't have to do anything at all. Nothing does. Like me. Right now, I'm doing nothing at all.
The inspiration will come to her once hell is set loose on the streets. It's too calm right now.
Shoot, Piggy.
That isn't just a 5-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers, the iconography of communism, in other words. The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mezov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure. To symbolize the toppling of the old order, Also, some social democrats were already using it. The wreath of antlers represents a natural crown. It was about building a society that could exist in accord with the natural world, and at the same time above it, because white is the color of peace. Gone, gone is the glory of hope. Only the scribblings of impoverished students remain in dirty hallways. You are the big communism builder now. It's you or no one. This door, number 28. This is...
Let's see if anyone...
No one answers.
Looks like the young man we are looking... We should return tomorrow after we... Tomorrow, 9 p.m.
Damn, remember, tomorrow. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. It's just a wall. This postlavantore. The box seems happy. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow. Old call box with a matrix of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. An off-key melody starts playing after you ring the doorbell.
Kuno, please stop calling here. Grown-ups don't have time. Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I thought you were... But the doorbell is broken, and the bookstore shouldn't even be on the list anymore, so I can't help you. Please don't call here again.
A single beep indicates that the line has gone dead. You ring the doorbell, but no one answers. What an ominous name for a hair salon. Doesn't bode well for anyone's hair. All you hear is static, but no one answers the call. You ring the doorbell, but nothing happens. You wait for a minute or two, but all you get from the call box is silence. Looks like someone has melted half the plastic off with a lighter. You hear static from the intercom speaker. It sounds as if someone has picked up the receiver, but isn't saying anything.
Yes, hello. This is Tricentennial Electric. Have you come to place an order?
She sounds almost antique. as if her voice was being...
My God.
The lieutenant exchanges a look with you.
It's you. My God. I didn't think I would hear your voice here.
Who cares that you don't remember her? Just go along with it. No, something's wrong here.
Michelle, just please. Why did you even call? I don't understand. Ever since I came to work here, it's been different. As if my mind's been wiped.
A spot of static overrides her words. When she speaks again, it sounds like she's submerged.
It's so nice. It's so nice to be able to finally forget.
She sounds like she's about to cry. She doesn't answer. Silence. The only thing you can hear now is static and waves. You press the number sign on the keypad that terminates the call. 12 name cards. No. Hold on. Silence. Silence. Nothing happens. Silence. This button.
Huh. This button looks new.
Kuno's got this.
If there ever was such a thing as an ugly kid, then this is it. He's almost exquisite in his ugliness, like a gremlin.
Oh yeah, nappa gumpy, Kuno! Right in the dick, Kuno! Get him right in the dick!
It's love it in the dick.
Fuck that! Kuno, yeah! Right in the mouthhole!
Shits himself.
The rake, Kuno! You should throw the rake at him, Kuno!
The fuck? Does Kuno know what a rake is? Kuno's not a gardener.
We shouldn't do anything. You will see.
The language these kids are using, pure unfettered id. There will be no reasoning with those creatures.
Hunter and a gatherer, feel like a traveler.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
From another planet. Hey there. You sure are, my man. It's the jam, my man. It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Yeah, exactly.
It's official. He too agrees. This is the antechamber of the afterlife.
Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
Behind the laugh, however, a touch of sorrow.
So tell me, what do you need? It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out. Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town, too. Like, a strike negotiator type. They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All of us do. Us lorry drivers. Cam, your nurse. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing. He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs.
Ask for his conclusion.
A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees. Oh, high-grade narcotics.
Relax. He's merely joking.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Fowle runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, tracksuits and that kind of thing. They usually get shipped to Grodd and the Occident, though we've been making headway in the Il-Moran market lately. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road. This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6?
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together.
There it is again. A little touch of sadness beneath his cool. He thinks he's spent too long in this lorry.
We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Ah, man. Me and narcotics go way back. Had some good times surfing the psychic waves of my own consciousness, you know? But those days are behind me. There are other addictions in my life now. Why the inquiry, my man?
We have a credible lead, sir. Someone on this roundabout is waiting for a bulk shipment from the harbor to load it on their lorry and drive it to Jamrock.
Not me, man. No way. I don't need any trouble. Shit's bad enough anyway. This jam's gotta guard the stuff. Bosses don't look kindly on missing cargo. And it gives me time to work on my rhymes.
A rhymesmith? This is quite credible. It goes with its cadence and way of speaking.
Look, man, I try to stay away from the criminal underbelly of Revachol. I'm a guest here. You really need to find another man to probe with those questions.
We wouldn't say he's lying, sire. Your best verse?
That's brutal, man.
No, stop. He's already...
That's,
In the name of God, what are you doing?
Yeah, I get that, and it's cool, but... Yeah, I get it. These are your rhymes. They're from your life.
He's not lying. He liked the end.
Yes, and I also thank you for stopping. We have a drug investigation to reach.
Ease into it. Don't go too far.
You really are the law, aren't you?
That all the beans you got, Tommy? Damn.
Huh? The bosses, man. Yeah, it sure ain't good for me. Or you. I'd spare a coin or two for a city cop down in his luck. If I had, say, 4 myself. Don't be a stranger.
small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clutched in her hands, and there is a warm smile on her. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as her smile. It's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could give you comfort and shelter, some cigarettes and food money. Maybe she's your nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Her hair is gray, like no response, wherever.
If you want her attention, you may need to be more forceful.
Where am I? Who are you?
The smile on her face has disappeared, replaced by the weary aspect of a cornered beast.
Never mind. I remember now. I'm still stuck in that traffic jam in the 50s. The men have small jaws and everything is made out of plastic. Why do you need plastic when you can make the world out of amber? Back in Mecca, during the time of the revolution, the sidewalks and cafes are filled with the young people. I was on my way to see a new Boyadero picture starring Gabriel Buenguerro. Until you came along, that is. This is Gabriel Buenguerro.
A strikingly handsome man looks straight at you, his head crowned with a wide-brim hat. His hair is dark as an oil slick, and his jaw the most perfectly chiseled thing you've ever seen. This man's got a hold over her. Even 50 years later, you can feel it.
He was the biggest star of his day. Girls used to faint in the aisles of cinema whenever he came on the screen. And schoolboys used to memorize all of his lines.
In all likelihood, it's a world that's only ever existed in her mind.
Someone was. They are someone's memories, boy. What difference does it make if it's me or not? They're beautiful. That is all that matters. Beautiful and true. And they will win. They're coming for this, you know? All of this.
She seems to derive some bitter pleasure from this strange thought, as if the past will one day wipe the present away, like a tidal wave approaching.
I wasn't dreaming. I was there, Lawman. It was early spring, and the man behind the black sun had just come out. The posters were 20 meters tall. Everything was golden. While you, people, were tearing each other apart over your petty little revolution, in Methk, it was a golden age.
The Republic of Mesk is a massive confederation on the Isola of Muindi, the world's largest state by territory. It's a petrostate, a constitutional monarchy, and as of recently, an outcast due to its tilt to the far right.
Why not, Harife? It's not like I have anything better to do in this hellhole. Diamonds? Of course not. But wouldn't it be marvelous if I was? Whatever stupid things they put in the lorry, I imagine. I quit concerning myself with that a long time ago. Besides, then it's contraband, Lawman. What? Do you want to take an old woman in? Be my guest. Lock me away like Bad Hand Hermenegildo.
Bad Hand, Hermenegildos's bad hand, strangled 300 people. What can I say? Some people just really like strangling people.
Of course not. To truly understand the Boyadero, you need to listen to On the Western Plain.
The Boyadero, Boya for short, is a cowherder from upstream Magritte, the great steppes of northern Mesk. He is a rugged individualist and explorer.
It's an old ballad about a young girl who falls in love with a daring Boyadero. He promises to marry her as soon as he returns from the Western Plain. Don't be stupid. The Boyadero returns from the Western Plain a changed man, one night. As he and his beloved are out walking along the river Margaret, she pleads with him to give up his riding and settle down.
In the background, you can hear the orchestra swell as the screen fills with the maiden's imploring eyes.
So the Boyadero strangles his beloved and throws her body in the Margaret. Then he rides off, because the Western Plain is calling to him. The most beautiful. A true Boyadero needs a whole horizon to himself. He can't be tied down by man or woman. His beloved was selfish. She didn't know what it meant to love a Boyadero.
What if to truly love a Boyadero is to float lifeless downstream?
She's just a distracted...
So he doesn't...
You hear that, Loman? I don't think your partner likes you spending too much time with me. Oh, don't worry. Lomonoso, the Transcatolia Magistral. You for 1A. Ad Estradas du Mirador. All the... You're right, Loman. Is that all you woke me up to say? What do I need drugs for, Loman? What I say? Then what will...
Maybe if she thought you're corrupt.
Why would I want to do that? Loman, what in the name of God are you talking about? Maybe. Probably not. Makes no difference to me either way. Just this month, I made half a dozen trips from Saramiriza to Grad, on the U41A. What do you think they... No, Loman, diamonds. Easy. Is the skinny...
That's correct. There is no visibility of any of the others.
Diamonds are good for you, Loman. You should try them sometime. Where do you want me to go? This isn't so bad. Or I can just relax and let my mind...
I think we're done here, no?
Yes, go. Enough jamboree. I need to get back to Mesk.
Mazovian Socio-Economics. 0.000% of communism has been built. Evil, child-murdering billionaires still rule the world with a shit-eating grin. All he has managed to do is make himself sad. He is starting to suspect Krasmazov fucked him over, personally, with his socio-economic theory. It has, however, made him into a very smart boy with something like a university degree in truth. Instead of building communism, he now builds a precise model of this grotesque, duplicitous world.